I've been sweeping the grounds at the Azure Academy for 3 years now. The freshman classes have cycled through 3 times, but me? My position is rock solid, set in stone. The reason is simple. I never try to climb the ladder. My job is to sweep the paths and to sweep them clean. Nothing more. As someone who got dropped into this world for my own, I know exactly how dangerous this place is. See, this world is a novel I once read. The hero, Leo Vance, is a walking disaster magnet. People drop like flies wherever he goes. The heroine, Sophia Reed, is a saint with the worst luck imaginable. Anyone who gets close to her ends up miserable. And me? I'm Ethan Chase, the nameless chump from the book who gets vaporized by the hero in a single slap for trying to hit on the heroine. In the original story, my name only appeared once. Screw the plot. I just want to live. So I chose the safest path possible, joining the maintenance crew. Sweeping floors. If I'm useless enough, the Grim Reaper of this story can't catch me. Morning, Ethan. Up early again. A chubby new kid on the crew greeted me with a grin. I nodded, swinging my broom and scattering a pile of fallen leaves. Early bird gets the worm, I said offhandedly. What I was really thinking was, finish early, go home, and lie down early. The Azure Academy is huge. I'm responsible for the eastern grounds of Crimson Peak. It's quiet here, barely anyone ever comes by. Perfect. Humming a tuneless song, I swept the stone steps, gathering the leaves into neat piles. Work done. I instinctively looked for a place to slack off. My eyes scanned the area and landed on a bamboo grove not far away. I've been here 3 years, and I've never once set foot in that grove. The older guys said it was a forbidden zone, but I'd scanned it with my minimal magical senses before. There was nothing in there, not even a hint of a warning ward or a magical barrier. Probably just a story to scare the new kids. The weather was nice today. It had to be cool inside the grove. I hoisted my broom over my shoulder and, without a second thought, stepped inside. It was silent in the grove. Sunlight filtered through the dense bamboo leaves, dappling the ground like scattered gold coins. A breeze rustled the leaves, making a soft, whispering sound. It really was the perfect place for a nap. I found a large, smooth boulder, tossed my broom aside, and stretched out on top of it. Perfect. I closed my eyes, drifting into that hazy space just before sleep. Just then, a voice floated down from above my head. You, new here. A jolt shot through me, and I was instantly awake. I sat up bolt upright and saw a woman. She was sitting on the very top of a bamboo stalk next to me, her body swaying gently with the movement of the plant. She wore a simple white dress, and her long hair was unbound, cascading messily around her shoulders. She was barefoot, and a small silver bell was tied around one ankle. As the wind blew, it chimed softly. My brain buzzed. There was someone in this grove. I had scanned this place with my senses and found nothing. That could only mean one thing. This woman's power level was so far beyond mine, I couldn't even register her presence. I was so screwed. Trespassing in a forbidden zone. According to Academy rules, the light punishment was having your power stripped. The severe punishment was on-the-spot execution. I scrambled off the boulder and fell to my knees. Mom, please spare me. I didn't know this was a restricted area. I meant no offense. I'll leave right now. I started to crawl backward. Stop. The woman's voice wasn't loud, but it felt like a command that pinned my limbs to the ground. I froze, not daring to move. A cold sweat trickled down my forehead. She drifted down from the treetop, as light as a feather, her toes touching the ground without a sound. She walked over to me, crouched down, and tilted her head, studying me. A faint, clean scent like fresh-cut grass filled my nose. What's your name? She asked. My name is Ethan Chase, ma'am. What apartment? Maintenance, I stammered, my voice trembling. She reached out a single finger and poked me in the forehead. Her finger was ice cold. Maintenance? She seemed to find this amusing. You've got some nerve running into my napping spot. I deserve to die 1,000 deaths. I pressed my head lower to the ground. This is it. I'm dead. I transmigrated, spent 3 years diligently trying to be a nobody, and now I'm going to get killed over a nap. I hate everything. Get up, she said. I didn't move. I said, get up. Her voice turned a little colder. I scrambled to my feet, head bowed, not daring to look at her. You're interesting, she said. I've been sleeping here for 3,000 years, and you're the first person who's ever dared to just walk in. 3,000 years. My brain short-circuited. The headmaster of Azurewood, the most powerful guy in the academy, was only about 800 years old. What did 3,000 years even mean? An ancient monster? A living fossil? Judging by your expression, you don't believe me? She circled me slowly. I felt like I was being watched by a cobra. I believe you. I absolutely believe you. I pledge my loyalty instantly. May you live forever and your power never fade. She suddenly stopped behind me. A hand rested on my shoulder. Every hair on my body stood on end. You have a presence, an aura that doesn't belong to this world. Her voice was a whisper, like she was telling me a secret. Where did you come from? It was over. It was all over. My biggest secret, seen through in an instant. My mind went blank. I had no idea how to answer. Tell her I was from another world? Would she believe me? Or would she brand me as some interdimensional demon and obliterate me on the spot? My silence seemed to test her patience. The pressure on my shoulder increased. Not talking. I'll talk. I'll talk. I gritted my teeth through the pain. Ma'am, you probably won't believe this, but I'm not from this world. I come from a place called Earth. In a torrent of jumbled words, I told her everything about my transmigration as fast as I could. When I finished, the grove was deathly quiet. She didn't speak. I didn't dare move. The seconds ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. Earth. Finally, she spoke. Interesting. Are all the people there as weak as you? I was so embarrassed my toes curled inside my boots. Pretty much. So what do you people do all day? She seemed genuinely curious. I swallowed hard and began to tell her about life on Earth. I told her about smartphones, computers, online video games, and DoorDash. My throat was raw by the time I finished. She listened with rapt attention. By the time I was done, the sun was starting to set. Fascinating, she said, releasing my shoulder and clapping her hands together. I've decided. She walked in front of me, a smile spreading across her face. My stomach dropped. I had a very bad feeling about this. From today on, you're done with sweeping. You belong to me now. From now on, you'll follow me and tell me stories to keep me from getting bored. As she spoke, she snapped her fingers. The ground beneath my feet suddenly split open, revealing a pitch-black hole. A powerful suction pulled at me, and before I could even scream, I was yanked inside. In the last second before I fell, I heard her voice, laced with laughter. By the way, my name is Seraphina. Remember that. It's the name of your new master. I felt like a sock in a tumble dryer. The world spun violently. When I finally stopped, I landed hard on my butt, completely dazed. I opened my eyes and found myself in a cave. It was spacious, the walls embedded with glowing stones that illuminated the entire cavern. The furnishings were simple, a stone bed, a stone table, and a few stone stools. That was it. It was even more pathetic than my dorm room in the maintenance barracks. Seraphina was sitting on one of the stools, chin resting on her hand, watching me with an amused expression. This is my home, she said. You'll be living here from now on. I glanced at the single, lonely stone bed. Mom. Seraphina, where do I sleep? The floor, she answered, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Fina, beggars can't be choosers. Sleeping on the floor was better than being dead. I climbed to my feet and dusted myself off. Seraphina, what are your orders? Don't call me Seraphina. Call me Matriarch. Yes, Matriarch. I was nothing if not adaptable. I am hungry. She rubbed her stomach. I froze. People with her level of power didn't need to eat, did they? Weren't they supposed to subsist on pure energy? I want to eat that thing you mentioned, the spicy stew. Lady, this is a fantasy world of swords and magic. Where am I supposed to find the ingredients for a spicy stew? I can't just conjure them out of thin air. I don't know how to make it, I answered honestly. Learn, she said succinctly. I don't have the ingredients. She waved her hand, and a pile of items materialized on the stone table. There were all sorts of magical herbs and fruits I'd seen and never seen before, along with several cuts of meat from some unknown magical beast that radiated pure energy. Use these. I stared at the pile of legendary materials that would make the entire magical world lose its mind, and fell into a deep, troubled silence. Using a 9-petaled sunfire lotus like it was cabbage. using the liver of a dragon and the marrow of a phoenix like they were meatballs. What kind of spicy stew was this? This was a life-ending stew. Matriarch, these ingredients. Their magical properties are too potent. You can't just mix them together. Eating this could make someone explode. I tried to reason with her. Would it make you explode? Or me explode? She glanced at me. Never mind. Gritting my teeth, I started preparing the ingredients. I handled legendary herbs that could be family heirlooms with the same care as if I were chopping celery. My heart was bleeding. What a waste of priceless treasures. Life was a struggle. I asked her, Matriarch, do you have fire? She held up a finger, and a small, golden flame flickered to life at its tip. Celestial flame. Is that good enough? More than enough. I nearly knelt before her again. Using celestial flame to cook a stew. I had to be the first person in history to do this. I found an alchemy cauldron, washed it out, and used it as a pot. I threw all the herbs, fruits, and beast meat in, added some water, and set the celestial flame underneath it. Before long, the cauldron was bubbling. A bizarrely delicious aroma filled the cave. It was a fragrance mixed with such potent magical energy, it was almost visible. Just taking a single whiff made me feel like my own power level was about to break through a new barrier. Seraphina smelled it too. Her eyes lit up, and she came closer. Is it ready? I think so. I found a large ladle and scooped out a bowl. The broth was golden, and the ingredients inside were shimmering with rainbow colors, practically glowing. It looked amazing. I handed the bowl to her. She took it, blew on it, and carefully took a sip. Her eyes went wide. The next second, a terrifying wave of magical energy erupted from her body. The entire cave began to shake. I was thrown back by the shock wave, slamming into the wall so hard I almost passed out. I stared at her in terror. No way. Did she really have a bad reaction? Seraphina sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed. The aura around her body surged, climbing higher and higher. She was having a breakthrough. She was just breaking through. After eating a bowl of my randomly thrown-together spicy stew, her power level, which hadn't budged in thousands of years, just broke through to a new level. After a long while, the cave calmed down. Seraphina opened her eyes and exhaled a puff of pure energy. She looked at the bowl in her hands, then at me, her expression complicated. You are a genius. This stuff is more effective than any elixir. She took another sip, smacking her lips. It's a little bland, though. Add more spice next time. I finally understood. This ancient matriarch's brain was wired differently. She wasn't tasting the flavor at all. She was absorbing the raw magical energy. She was eating this super concentrated power soup like it was a normal meal. From now on, you're my personal chef, she declared. Besides telling stories, you're also responsible for my 3 meals a day. I wanted to cry, but had no tears. I, a simple maintenance worker, had somehow become the personal chef and storyteller for a living fossil who was at least 3,000 years old. How did my life come to this? Right, your name is Ethan Chase, isn't it? Yes, Matriarch. This is for you. She tossed me a small pouch. I opened it and saw it was full of glittering mana crystals, at least several thousand of them. That's your salary, she said generously. Do a good job, and there's more where that came from. I looked at the bag of crystals and suddenly thought that this job might not be so bad after all. Room and board included with a salary. My boss was a little crazy, but she was generous. Most importantly, staying by her side seemed a lot safer than being out there. After all, who would dare to cause trouble for an ancient being who's been around for 3,000 years? My heroic countryman, the walking disaster magnet, probably wouldn't dare come near this place. Thank you, Matriarch. I immediately plastered a sycophantic smile on my face. Good. Seraphina nodded in satisfaction. Come over here and rub my shoulders. Then continue with that story you called Journey to the West. I skirted over. While rubbing her shoulders, I began to vividly recount the tale of the Monkey King wreaking havoc in heaven. It seemed my plan to live a quiet life was going to continue, just in a different way. If I could just hold on to this powerful patron's leg, I should be able to survive until the end of the story, right? I thought to myself, feeling pretty pleased. After half a month with Seraphina, I had a pretty good grasp of her personality. In short, She did whatever she wanted. Her whims were law, and she didn't play by any normal rules. One day, she'd have me use a phoenix heart to make barbecue. The next, she'd make me play checkers with ancient magical artifacts. And I wasn't allowed to win. She flipped the board. Still, life was peaceful. I cooked, told stories, gave shoulder rubs, and the days passed. I even started to think this wasn't so bad. Until the day my unlucky protagonist compatriot, Leo Vance, showed up at our doorstep. That day, Serafina was lounging in her custom-made rocking chair, watching a magical projection I'd created of Tom and Jerry. She was cackling with glee. I was standing nearby, trying to figure out what new culinary scam I could pull for her next meal. Suddenly, Serafina's laughter stopped. She sat up straight, looking toward the cave entrance. Someone's here. My heart skipped a beat. Anyone who could get Serafina's attention couldn't be an ordinary student. A little adept-level kid. Been sneaking around outside for 3 days now, Serafina said with a pout. So annoying. An adept-level kid? My stomach dropped. I did the math. By this point in the story, Leo Vance would have just joined the academy and reached the adept level. In the book, after his breakthrough, he comes to the back mountains looking for a fortunate encounter, receives the inheritance of some powerful master, and begins his meteoric rise. It couldn't be that much of a coincidence, could it? Matriarch, what does he look like? I asked tentatively. Serafina waved her hand, and a mirror made of water appeared before us. In it, a plain-looking young man with a determined expression was pacing back and forth outside the bamboo grove. It was Leo Vance. A cold sweat broke out on my back. The protagonist was here. According to the plot, he was supposed to meet the remnant soul of a master here, get a powerful technique, and start his journey to becoming an overpowered hero. But now, this place was occupied by Serafina. Any remnant souls had probably been eaten by her as a snack long ago. If Leo Vance barged in and ran into Serafina, I didn't even want to imagine the consequences. Knowing Serafina's personality, she might find him interesting and keep him as a second toy. Or she might find him annoying and just swat him into dust. No, I absolutely could not let him come in here. Putting two unstable elements together. God knows what would happen. My peaceful, lazy life could not be disturbed. Ethan, Serafina said. Yes, Matriarch. Go get rid of him. She waved her hand impatiently. He's interrupting my cartoon. Me? Get rid of the main character? I was a tier 1 acolyte, a janitor. I was supposed to go dismiss a tier 2 adept who was literally blessed by destiny? That wasn't a mission. It was a suicide note. Matriarch, I can't beat him. I said, my face a mask of misery. Who told you to beat him? Serafina rolled her eyes at me. Use your brain. She tossed me a dark, metal token. Take this. Scare him off with it. I caught the token. It was cold to the touch, engraved with runes I couldn't understand. What is this? My token. Seeing it is the same as seeing me, Serafina said, sinking back in her chair lazily. No one in the entire Azurewood Academy doesn't recognize it. I felt a little more confident. With the Matriarch's reputation as my shield, I should be able to bluff my way through this. Clutching the token, I took a deep breath and walked out of the cave. Passing through the bamboo grove, I saw him, Leo Vance. He was still pacing, frowning as if searching for an entrance. I cleared my throat. Ahem. Leo jumped, spinning around to face me with a wary expression. Who are you? Who I am is not important. I mimicked the posture of a wise master from the novels, clasping my hands behind my back and trying to look profound. What's important is that this is not a place you should be. Leave at once. My knees were knocking together as I said it. This was the main character, a guy who wouldn't hesitate to wipe out your entire family if you looked at him wrong. Leo frowned, sizing me up. He probably noticed my janitor's uniform and pathetically low power level, and a flicker of disdain crossed his face. A mere janitor dares to block my path. I'm not blocking you. I'm saving you, I said in a low, mysterious voice. This is a forbidden ground of the Academy. A great terror lies within. One more step, and you'll be doomed for eternity. I'd learned that line from an old audiobook. Leo clearly didn't buy it. Nonsense. I feel a great opportunity calling to me from this place. You can't fool me. With that, he started to push past me. Panicked, I shoved Serafina's token in his face. Open your eyes and see what this is. I held the token right in front of him. Leo's expression had been scornful, but the moment he saw the runes on the token, his face changed. It went completely pale. This is the Matriarch's sigil. His voice trembled. How do you have the Matriarch's sigil? The Matriarch? So that was her title? Sounded intimidating enough. How I have it is none of your business. I continued my act. Now, do you still wish to enter? Leo Vance looked from the token in my hand to the dark, silent grove, his face a whirlwind of emotions. I saw unwillingness and desire, but mostly I saw fear. It seemed Serafina's reputation was even greater than I'd imagined. Senior, no, forgive me. This disciple was blind. With a thud, he actually knelt before me. I did not know this was the Matriarch's sacred ground for meditation. I have caused a great offense. Please, Senior, forgive me. He thought I was Serafina's messenger. A wave of satisfaction washed over me. So what if you're the hero? You still have to kneel to me. It is good that you know your mistake. I put the token away and spoke coolly. Since this is your first offense, I will let it slide. There will not be a next time. Now get lost. Yes, I'm going now. As if granted a pardon, Leo scrambled to his feet and ran for his life, disappearing in the blink of an eye. He was faster than a rabbit. Watching him vanish, I let out a long sigh of relief. Finally got rid of that ticking time bomb. I wiped the sweat from my brow and turned to head back. As soon as I entered the grove, I saw Serafina standing there, a smirk on her face. Not bad, Ethan. I jumped. Matriarch, you saw all that. MHM. She nodded. That line, open your eyes, had real passion. I was just panicking. You seem to be very afraid of him, Serafina said suddenly. And no, I'm not, I denied quickly. Really? She leaned in close, her eyes boring into mine. But your heart is racing. Her face was so close I could see her long eyelashes. An immense pressure washed over me. He's the main character, I finally confessed, unable to withstand her gaze. The main character? Serafina tilted her head, confused. So I had to explain the whole concept of a novel to her. What a protagonist was, what a supporting character was, and what plot armor was. After I finished, Serafina was silent for a long time, stroking her chin in thought. Then, she clapped her hands. Interesting. Her eyes were sparkling with excitement. So, you're saying that if we follow him, all sorts of fun things will happen. My heart sank. Matriarch, what are you planning? From today on, our new entertainment will be observing the protagonist, Serafina announced. Ethan, this task is now yours. You are to report his every move to me. My world went dark. I had just spent all that effort to send the disaster magnet away, only for my own matriarch to develop a deep and personal interest in him. I hadn't solved the problem. I just invited a much bigger one into my life. My dream of a peaceful, lazy existence was officially hopeless. Ever since Serafina took an interest in the protagonist, Leo Vance, my job description expanded. Every day, I had to monitor Leo's movements through the water mirror and narrate his life to her like I was a sportscaster. Reporting Matriarch, Leo Vance had an extra bowl of rice in the cafeteria today. Reporting Matriarch, Leo Vance got chewed out by a senior student. He took it, but the look in his eyes was pure rebellion. Reporting Matriarch, Leo Vance was secretly training in the back hills and got kicked in the face by a rabbit. Serafina found this endlessly entertaining, sometimes offering her own commentary. This Leo Vance kid has a strong will, but he's not very bright. That technique he's practicing is full of holes. He's going to mess himself up sooner or later. That rabbit is the grandson of the rabbit king of the back hills. He picked the wrong bunny to mess with. I didn't feel like a chef or a storyteller anymore. I felt like a private investigator, one with a 24/7 surveillance feed. The job was emotionally draining. One day, by some stroke of dumb luck, Leo landed a mission to go into the mortal world to purchase supplies. In the water mirror, he changed into civilian clothes and headed down the mountain, looking thrilled. I reported this to Serafina as usual. Upon hearing my report, she shot up from her rocking chair. The mortal world? Her eyes lit up. Ethan. Yes, Matriarch. I want to go too. What? You stay here, dumbfound. Matriarch, you want to go to the mortal world? Yes, she nodded. Didn't you say it has all sorts of delicious food and fun things? I want to see it for myself. A stampede of 1,000 wild horses thundered through my mind. You're an ancient being thousands of years old. What business do you have in the mortal world? The slightest leak of your aura could make an entire city of people explode. Matriarch, the mortal world is very dangerous. I tried to dissuade her. It's full of deceitful people, traps, and scams. Oh, Seraphina got even more excited. Perfect. I haven't stretched my muscles in a few hundred years. Looking at her eager expression, I got the feeling she wasn't going there for fun. She was going there to start trouble. Also, I want to eat those things you mentioned. Kebabs, she said, licking her lips. It was over. That was her real motive. This matriarch would do anything for a snack. I couldn't talk her out of it, so I had no choice but to be dragged along. She didn't bother with a flying magical artifact. She just tore a hole in space. My vision blurred, and when I opened my eyes again, we were standing on a bustling street in a mortal town. People were everywhere, merchants hawking their wares. Seraphina was like a country girl on her first trip to the city, marveling at everything. She was still wearing her simple white dress and was barefoot, sticking out like a sore thumb. People were staring. I quickly pulled her into an empty alley. Matriarch, we need to change clothes, I said, pointing at her outfit. She looked down at herself and nodded. Wait here. She closed her eyes. A moment later, her white dress transformed into a simple green tunic, and a pair of cloth shoes appeared on her feet. Even her messy, unkempt hair was now neatly tied in a bun. Aside from being inhumanly beautiful, she looked like any other girl from a normal family. How's this? Perfect, I nodded. I changed my own clothes into the simple attire of a servant boy. We walked out the alley and blended into the crowd. Seraphina was curious about everything. She saw a man selling sculpted sugar candy and had to buy one. She saw a stall selling rattle drums and had to have one of those too. In no time, my arms were laden with all sorts of useless trinkets. She didn't care about the cost. The pouch she'd given me contained a pile of gold and silver in addition to the mana crystals, probably all lifted from some unlucky soul in the distant past. We wandered into a street lined with food stalls. The air was thick with delicious smells. Seraphina's eyes went wide. Kebabs. Which one is it? I pointed to a nearby grill stand. The owner was a burly, bearded man, shirtless, and sweating profusely as he grilled skewers of meat. The meat sizzled over the charcoal, glistening with fat. He sprinkled on cumin and chili powder, and the aroma was intoxicating. Seraphina grabbed my arm and dragged me over. Sir, this one, and that one. Give me 100 of each. She pointed at all the different meat skewers on display, like a conquering general. The owner was stunned. Miss, 100? Can the two of you even finish that? You just grill. Seraphina slapped a silver ingot on the counter. We found a small table and sat down. Soon, the first batch of grilled lamb skewers arrived. I picked one up and handed it to Seraphina. Matriarch, try it. She copied me, took a skewer, and bit into it. Her eyes instantly widened. Delicious, she mumbled through a full mouth, then proceeded to devour them like a storm. One after another, she ate until her face was shiny with grease. She had none of the grace of an ancient master. As we were busy eating, a commotion started at the table next to us. I looked up and saw several well-dressed thugs harassing a young girl selling flowers. The girl was maybe 15 or 16, her face pale with fright, clutching her flower basket and trembling. The people around them were angry, but too scared to intervene. I frowned. The classic bullies preying on the weak trope. I was about to suggest we move to avoid trouble when Seraphina beat me to it. She put down her skewer and wiped her mouth. Annoying. She stood up and walked toward the thugs. My stomach clenched. Grandma, please don't start a fight. One move from you, and this entire street could be vaporized. When the thugs saw Seraphina, their eyes nearly popped out of their heads. Well, look what we have here. Another pretty little thing, the blonde-haired leader said with a lecherous grin, reaching for her. Hey, little sister, why don't you come play with us? Seraphina didn't say a word. She just raised a finger, aimed it at the blonde thug, and flicked. There was a crisp snap. The smile on the thug's face froze. Then he started slapping himself in the face at a bizarrely steady rhythm. Slap, slap, slap. The sounds were loud and rhythmic. As he slapped himself, he even provided his own commentary. I was wrong. I'm a scumbag. I shouldn't bully people. His cronies behind him were dumbfounded. "B-boss, what are you doing?" The blonde thug couldn't stop. His face was already swollen, but he kept going. "Don't just stand there," Serafina said with a sweet smile, looking at the other thugs. "Join the dance." She flicked her finger a few more times. The other thugs, just like their leader, began to slap themselves in perfect unison, shouting slogans as they did. The scene was as synchronized as a military parade. Everyone on the street stared, mouths agape. Serafina clapped her hands, walked back to her seat, picked up a grilled kidney skewer, and continued eating as if nothing had happened. I swallowed hard and subtly scooted my stool a little farther away from her. That was terrifying. Killing someone was one thing. This was a fate worse than death. It was psychological torture. Whoever crossed her in the future would die 1,000 social deaths before their body ever hit the floor. After a full day of fun in the mortal town, Serafina was finally satisfied enough to go back. She gave the trip rave reviews, especially the kebabs and candied apples. As soon as we returned, she ordered me to clear out a dedicated barbecue area outside the cave. From then on, my duties expanded from making spicy stew to include grilling kebabs, using celestial flame to grill meat. I was pretty sure that was another first in the history of this world. Meanwhile, Leo Vance had completed his supply run and returned to the academy. After being scared off by me, he seemed to have settled down, no longer wandering into forbidden places. His days were filled with training, missions, and the occasional bullying from senior students. A very fulfilling life. Serafina watched his live stream every day as if it were her favorite soap opera, cackling with delight. One day, I was roasting a spirit boar I had just caught for Serafina. The boar was roasted to perfection, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, its aroma filling the air. Serafina was practically drooling. Just as I was adding the final sprinkle of secret spices and we were about to dig in, Leo Vance's feed in the water mirror showed a new development. He had received a new mission from the academy, to go to the Frostfall pool in the back mountains and retrieve a rare herb, an ice heart bloom. My heart skipped a beat. Here it comes. The plot is back on track. In the original novel, Leo meets the female lead, Sophia Reed, while she's bathing in the Frostfall pool. This leads to the classic hero saves damsel in distress scenario. The beautiful maiden falls for him, and their fated romance begins. This was the start of their love story. Matriarch, look, Leo Vance is about to meet the female lead. I quickly reported. Serafina was so intrigued she forgot all about the roast boar. "Oh, you mean the goody two-shoes Sophia Reed?" "Yes, that's her. Let's go take a look." Serafina grabbed me and tore open another portal in space. The next moment, we were perched on a large tree near the Frostfall pool, with a perfect view of the entire area. The pool wasn't large, its water crystal clear and emitting wisps of cold air. A young woman in a white dress stood on a rock by the water's edge, her back to us, seemingly preparing to get in. Her figure was graceful, her long hair cascading down to her waist. Even from behind, you could tell she was a beauty. This had to be Sophia Reed. "Not bad looking," Serafina commented. "A bit clumsy, though." I didn't dare respond. Just then, Leo Vance appeared at the end of the path. He was walking slowly, looking around for the ice heart bloom. He was about to reach the pool. The classic scene was about to unfold. But then, something unexpected happened. As Sophia took off her outer robe, preparing to step into the water, a brightly colored scorpion crawled out from a crack in the rocks, silently slithering onto the rock where she'd placed her clothes. The stinger on its tail glowed with a sinister blue light. It was clearly highly venomous. My heart tightened. This wasn't in the book. The plot was supposed to be Leo startling a monster in the water while picking the herb, then fighting it to save Sophia. Where did this scorpion come from? Serafina frowned. A 7-colored crystal scorpion. Weren't these things extinct? The scorpion was about to strike. Sophia seemed to sense the danger and spun around. Seeing the scorpion, she screamed, her face paling in terror. "Ah!" She instinctively stumbled backward. Her foot slipped, and she lost her balance, tipping over into the icy pool. Leo was still too far away to help. "It's over," The female lead is going to die before her story even begins. In a moment of panic, I threw all caution to the wind. If the female lead died, the whole plot would collapse. I leaped from the tree, channeling all my meager power, and dashed towards Sophia. I didn't know any fancy spells, just the most basic wind step technique. Pushing myself to the absolute limit, I managed to grab her wrist just before she fell into the water. I pulled her back onto solid ground. She was still in shock and stumbled right into my arms. A faint scent of orchids filled my nose. Holding a warm, beautiful girl in my arms, I froze completely. This isn't how the script goes. How did I become the hero, saving the damsel in distress? Thank you for saving me, Senior. Sophia untangled herself from my embrace, her face as red as an apple. She looked at me, her eyes shining. May I ask your name? My name is Ethan Chase. I stammered. I was doomed. There was no explaining my way out of this one. Just then, Leo Vance finally arrived. He saw me standing with Sophia, and his expression soured. When he saw the adoring look Sophia was giving me, his face got even darker. I could practically smell the jealousy from a mile away. The scorpion, startled by the commotion, had already scurried away. Sophia, are you all right? Leo asked, walking over with a concerned look. I'm fine, thanks to this Senior, Ethan. Sophia gave me a sweet smile. Leo shot me a complicated look. There was jealousy, resentment, and a hint of hostility. I cursed my luck internally. Dude, I swear it was an accident. I was just passing by. Senior Ethan? I don't recall seeing you among the inner disciples, Leo probed. I'm on the maintenance crew, I answered honestly. Both Leo and Sophia stared at me. A janitor? A janitor was that fast. The way they looked at me became even stranger. I felt like a monkey in a zoo. All I wanted was to get away. Well, since you're okay, I'll be going now. I mumbled an excuse and turned to run. If I didn't leave then, I was afraid Leo would actually try to fight me. I'd just stolen his big romantic moment. How could he not be furious? I sprinted all the way back to Serafina. She was leaning against the tree, arms crossed, with a look on her face that said she was thoroughly enjoying the show. Nicely done, Ethan, she said, patting my shoulder. Hero saves the beauty. How'd it feel? Matriarch, please don't tease me. I pleaded, my face a mask of despair. Why didn't you do something? Why should I, she retorted. Wasn't that more fun? Fun. I was on the verge of tears. Matriarch, I just snipped the main character's red thread of fate. How is the plot supposed to continue now? What are you afraid of? Serafina said nonchalantly. If the plot gets derailed, we just force it back on track. She paused, then added, or we could make it even more interesting. She looked off into the distance, where Leo and Sophia were still standing awkwardly. A mischievous smile, the kind that promised chaos, spread across her face. I had a very, very bad feeling about this. The old matriarch had just found a new game to play, and I was her favorite, unlucky toy. Ever since I saved Sophia at the Frostfall pool, my life has been anything but peaceful. It seems Sophia had developed a strong interest in me. She started coming to the back mountains every few days, under the guise of thanking me for saving her life. One day, it was pastries, the next it was elixirs, and the day after that it was a sachet she'd embroidered herself. I didn't dare accept any of it. If I did, Leo Vance would probably murder me 1,000 times over with his glare alone. The way he looked at me now was like I'd killed his father. So I started avoiding her. Whenever she came looking for me, I had Serafina hide me. Serafina, of course, found this hilarious. She called it our little game of hide and seek. She even taught me transformation spells, letting me turn into a rock, a rabbit, or a bamboo stalk. One time, after searching the grove for hours, Sophia broke down and cried while hugging a stalk of bamboo. That bamboo was me. I didn't dare even rustle a leaf. Besides Sophia, other people in the academy began to notice me. A janitor saving an inner disciple like Sophia from a venomous magical beast. The story didn't add up. Rumors started spreading that I was some reclusive master playing the part of a humble worker. Even the supervisor of the maintenance crew started treating me with an unsettling amount of respect. My dream of a quiet, lazy life was slipping further and further away. One day, trouble finally came knocking. Elder Thompson from the Hall of Discipline, flanked by two of his enforcers, marched up to the entrance of Seraphina's cave with a thunderous expression. Elder Thompson was an inflexible, by-the-books old man, universally disliked in the academy. In the original novel, he was a minor antagonist who constantly made trouble for Leo Vance. Ethan Chase, get out here. Elder Thompson's voice was so powerful it made the whole cave vibrate. I was peeling a fruit for Seraphina, and my hand jerked, dropping it on the floor. Seraphina, who had been napping in a rocking chair, was jolted awake. She was not happy. She opened her eyes, a dangerous glint within them. Who's yelling their head off this early in the morning? I panicked and clamped a hand over her mouth. Matriarch, be quiet. It's Elder Thompson from the Hall of Discipline. Elder Thompson? Seraphina thought for a moment. Is that the old man with the 3 moles on his face? Yes, that's him. Oh, I remember him. 300 years ago, when he was just a kid, I caught him spying on the female disciples bathing. I strung him up in a tree and left him there for 3 days. That happened? This old lady's memory was terrifyingly good. What does he want? Seraphina asked impatiently. He's definitely here to cause trouble for me, I said miserably. It's all my fault for showing off last time. What are you afraid of? Seraphina hauled me to my feet. Go out and face him. I've got your back. I felt a little better, right? My backer was the most powerful person in the entire academy. What was one Elder Thompson? I straightened my clothes and walked out of the cave with my head held high. When Elder Thompson saw me, he scowled. Ethan Chase, you have some nerve. As a member of the maintenance crew, you have abandoned your post for an extended period. Do you admit your guilt? He came right out of the gate with a heavy accusation. Elder Thompson, I have not abandoned my post, I said coolly, tucking my hands into my sleeves just like Seraphina often did. I am here under the orders of a certain powerful individual, awaiting their command. I made sure to emphasize the words powerful individual, hoping he'd get the hint. Elder Thompson paused. A powerful individual? Who? In this academy, whose authority surpasses that of the Hall of Discipline. Clearly, he didn't get it. To be fair, Seraphina had been in seclusion for thousands of years. The only ones who knew she existed were the headmaster and a few grand elders. An elder from the Hall of Discipline wasn't high enough on the food chain. Stop talking nonsense, Ethan, one of the enforcers next to Thompson shouted. You're just a lazy slacker. Come with us to the Hall of Discipline. He started to step forward to grab me. I took a step back. Insolent, a cold voice came from behind me. Seraphina had appeared at my back without a sound. She was in her usual white dress, barefoot, her face an emotionless mask. But an invisible pressure instantly descended upon the bamboo grove. The very air seemed to freeze. Elder Thompson and his 2 enforcers went pale. They stared at Seraphina, their mouths hanging open wide enough to fit an egg. Elder Thompson, in particular, looked at her as if he'd seen a ghost. His body began to tremble violently. Why you are. His voice was filled with a mixture of terror and disbelief. Seraphina ignored him. She walked up to me and gently straightened my slightly messy collar. Then she looked up, her gaze falling on Elder Thompson. You dare to touch my person? Her voice was calm, betraying no emotion. But to Elder Thompson, it was like a bolt of lightning. With a thud, he dropped to his knees. A full-on, face-to-the-ground kowtow. A matriarch. His voice was a squeak. This disciple deserves death. This disciple was blind not to recognize the matriarch. I have disturbed your peace. I beg for your forgiveness. His 2 enforcers were already scared stiff. Seeing their master prostrate himself, they quickly fell to their knees as well, not daring to lift their heads. Watching the scene unfold, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Not so tough now, are you? I cleared my throat, stepped up beside Seraphina, and, channeling my inner royal vizier, placed my hands on my hips. Elder Thompson, my matriarch has asked you a question. How would you like to die? Elder Thompson nearly fainted from fear. Matriarch, spare me. This disciple will never dare again. I will leave this instant. He knocked his head on the ground repeatedly. Seraphina seemed bored by the whole thing. She yawned. Whatever. She waved her hand as if shooing away a fly. Don't bother me again. Otherwise, she pointed to a crooked tree nearby. I'll hang all of you from it and use you as wind chimes. Yes, yes, we obey. Granted a pardon, Elder Thompson scrambled away, dragging his two terrified disciples with him. They ran even faster than Leo Vance had. Watching their pathetic retreat, I felt wonderful. It was good to have powerful friends. I turned and saw Seraphina looking at me with a smirk. That line, "How would you like to die?" was pretty good, she praised. "You've got a bit of my old flair." I grinned. "I learned from the best, Matriarch." "All right, stop sucking up." Seraphina stretched lazily. "The pests are gone, and now I'm hungry. What's for dinner?" "Matriarch, tonight we're having clay-baked chicken." "Excellent, and make it extra spicy." The sun was shining, and peace returned to the bamboo grove. I felt like my lazy, quiet life, though it had changed location and form, was actually pretty great. After Elder Thompson fled in terror, my status at the academy underwent a subtle change. No one dared treat me like an ordinary janitor anymore. Everyone knew that a powerful, unmess-with-able figure lived in the back mountain grove, and that I, Ethan Chase, was her favorite. Even the headmaster sent over various treasures and rare items as offerings to the old ancestor. All of it went straight into Seraphina's stomach, or rather, was turned into various dishes by me before entering her stomach. Leo Vance and Sophia Reed hadn't bothered me in a long time. Leo probably found out about my backer and didn't dare provoke me. Sophia was grounded by her master, forbidden from coming to the back mountains anymore. My life had finally returned to a state of tranquility. My days were spent with Seraphina, eating, playing, and watching the live stream. One day, a group of unwelcome guests arrived at Azurewood Academy. It was the Shadow Flame sect. The Shadow Flame sect was Azurewood's mortal enemy. For centuries, the two had been at each other's throats. This time, the young master of the Shadow Flame sect, along with a large entourage, arrived at Azurewood's gates with great fanfare. They called it a friendly exchange. In reality, they were here to cause trouble. In the water mirror, the young master, a guy named Braden Kane, was handsome but had an arrogant smirk plastered on his face. As soon as he arrived, he challenged the younger generation of Azurewood disciples. Azurewood sent out several of its elite inner disciples. One by one, Braden Kane beat them down with just a few moves. He was brutal. Every disciple he defeated ended up with broken bones. The Azurewood elders looked grim, but since it was a challenge between the younger generation, they couldn't intervene. "This Shadow Flame kid is pretty arrogant," Seraphina commented while gnawing on a chicken leg. "He is," I agreed. In the original novel, Braden Kane was an early-stage villain, basically a walking XP pack designed for the protagonist, Leo Vance, to beat up and look good. Sure enough, a few moments later, Leo Vance stepped forward. As Azurewood's dark horse, he accepted the challenge. A great battle began. Leo, as expected of the protagonist, was impressive. Though his power level was slightly lower than Braden's, he used his plot armor and the various special techniques he'd acquired to fight Braden to a standstill. Finally, just when everyone thought he was about to lose, he powered up. Unleashing a flurry of attacks, he sent Braden flying backward, spitting blood. A decisive victory. The Azurewood disciples erupted in cheers. Leo Vance became a hero overnight. "TCH, what an ugly win," Seraphina scoffed, unimpressed. To her, this kind of back-and-forth brawling was like children fighting. "A real battle should be decided in a single move," she lectured me. "Like this." She pointed a finger at the water mirror at Braden Kane and tapped it lightly. In the mirror, Braden, who had just been helped to his feet and was about to spew some threatening words to save face, suddenly froze. Then, in front of everyone, he started to dance. It was a very seductive, very provocative dance. He just wins Suvetsti poset. His form was perfect, his expression on point. The sight was too beautiful, or horrifying, to behold. The entire arena fell silent. The Azurewood disciples wanted to laugh, but didn't dare, their faces turning red from holding it in. The Shadow Flame sect members just stared, dumbfounded, wondering what kind of curse had befallen their young master. Braden himself was going insane. He wanted to stop, but his body wouldn't obey. He cried out between dance moves, "It's not me. My body is moving on its own." No one believed him. They all thought he was a sore loser who had gone crazy. "Ha ha ha. Serafina was laughing so hard in the cave, she was bent over, dropping her chicken leg. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Esther here, speechless. Matriarch, that was a low blow. Braden Kane's reputation in the cultivation world was ruined. Forevermore, he would be known as that guy who did a stripper dance after losing a fight. It was the definition of social suicide. The Shadow Flame sect couldn't take the humiliation. They grabbed the still-dancing Braden and fled in disgrace. A hostile visit that was supposed to be a show of force ended in bizarre comedy. And Leo Vance, though he won the match, had his thunder completely stolen by the dancing Braden. He was just a background character in a much stranger show. He stood there, watching Braden's retreating figure, a look of utter confusion on his face. He was probably wondering if he'd gotten the wrong script. I turned off the water mirror and silently handed Serafina a napkin. Matriarch, wipe your tears. She was crying with laughter. Ethan, what dance should we make and do next time? I decided then and there to keep my distance from this matriarch whenever possible. Her games were too high level for me. A simple fish like me was safer, just grilling her kebabs. Otherwise, the next person dancing in front of the entire academy might be me. Braden Kane, the young master of the Shadow Flame sect, became famous after his dance at Azure Academy. The story goes that he locked himself in his room upon returning to his sect and refused to see anyone. His father, the sect master, was furious and threatened all-out war with Azurewood. But it was just talk. After all, a power that could make an Archon-level practitioner lose control of his body so completely and bizarrely was beyond even the most powerful masters. The Shadow Flame sect master wasn't an idiot. He knew someone at Azurewood was not to be trifled with. In the end, the matter was dropped, and I continued my quiet life as the matriarch's personal chef. One day, Serafina suddenly announced she was going into seclusion for a few days. She said that the dragon's feast stew I made last time had given her some inspiration, and she needed to meditate on a new divine art. I was overjoyed. The matriarch in seclusion meant I was on vacation. Finally, a few days off. Serafina's grotto had several smaller chambers branching off from the main cave where we lived. She entered one of them. The stone door slid shut, and then there was silence. Left alone in the grotto, I was bored out of my mind. It was noisy and tiring with Serafina around, but at least it wasn't lonely. Without her, the cave was eerily quiet. With nothing to do, I started exploring the other chambers I'd never entered before. The first was Serafina's treasury. It was filled with mountains of heavenly materials and ancient artifacts. Things I had only ever heard of in legends. Cheelan horns, phoenix feathers, were piled up on the floor like firewood. My jaw dropped. Any single item from this room could start a war outside, and she just left the door open, not worried about thieves. Then again, who would be brave or stupid enough to steal from her? The second chamber was her alchemy lab. A massive, jet-black cauldron sat in the center. Shelves along the walls were filled with countless bottles and jars. I curiously picked one up. The label read, "Pig Pills. Take one, become a pig for a month." I picked up another. "Truth Beans. Take one. Can only speak the truth for 12 hours." And another. "Dancing Candy. Take one. Dance uncontrollably for 1 hour." Style is random. Staring at the shelves full of bizarre elixirs, I swallowed hard. So that's what happened to Braden Kane. It seemed the matriarch's hobbies were unique. I put the bottle down and moved toward the next chamber. When I reached the third door, I stopped. This stone door was closed, and on it was a paper talisman. The paper was yellowed with age, covered in cinnabar runes I couldn't decipher. A faint sealing power emanated from it. That was strange. Why would Serafina need a talisman to seal a room in her own home? What was hidden inside? Something even more powerful than the artifacts in the treasury? My curiosity was piqued. I reached out to touch the talisman. The moment my finger made contact, a powerful force threw me backward. I crashed to the ground, my bones rattling. The seal was incredibly strong. A single touch had nearly killed me. I climbed to my feet, rubbing my aching chest. The more forbidden it was, the more I wanted to know. What was in there? I walked around the door, looking for a crack or a keyhole, but found nothing. It was sealed perfectly against the rock wall. Just as I was about to give up, I noticed a line of tiny words carved into the rock next to the door. They were so small they were almost invisible, written in an ancient script. Fortunately, when I transmigrated, I had absorbed the original Ethan's memories, so I could just barely read it. It said, I, Seraphina, have sealed my inner demon within this chamber. Let no one who comes after approach or suffer the consequences. Her inner demon? Seraphina had sealed her own inner demon here? My mind went blank. That was a world-shaking secret. For cultivators, the inner demon was their greatest fear. The higher their power, the stronger the demon. If it broke free, at best they'd go insane. At worst, they'd be destroyed from within. For someone as powerful as Seraphina, how terrifying must her inner demon be? No wonder the seal was so strong. I looked at the stone door and felt a chill run down my spine. This was a ticking time bomb. If that seal ever weakened and the demon escaped, the entire Azurewood Academy, no, the entire world would be doomed. I suddenly felt a pang of sympathy for Seraphina. She acted so carefree and whimsical all the time, but she was carrying this heavy burden alone. For thousands of years, she had been guarding this secret, this demon. How lonely must that have been? I sighed and bowed to the stone door. Mr. Inner Demon, sir, please stay put in there. The outside world really isn't that great. With that, I turned and walked away. I would take this secret to my grave, and I would be better to Seraphina from now on. I would cook her delicious meals every day, tell her funny stories, and keep her happy. Maybe if she was happy, the inner demon's power would weaken. Yes, that was the plan. I returned to the main cave with a new resolve and started planning a new menu. I would cook her the most incredible feast in the world. A welcome-back surprise for when she came out of seclusion. Seraphina's seclusion only lasted for 3 days. When she emerged, she was radiant. She told me her newly mastered divine art was called Word of Law. Whatever she said would become reality. For instance, if she said, "Let it rain," dark clouds would immediately gather and a downpour would begin. If she said, "Let there be light," the cave would become as bright as day. I was so shocked the spatula I was holding clattered to the floor. That was too overpowered. Wasn't that the kind of power reserved for creator gods? There are limits, Seraphina explained, seeing my shock. It only works on small things, and it drains my energy quickly. I can't use it to directly attack people. I breathed a sigh of relief. That was good. Without limits, she would be truly invincible. To celebrate her successful seclusion, I cooked every dish from the new menu I had spent 3 days creating. The table was laden with food. Seraphina ate with a huge smile on her face, calling me a genius. After the meal, she opened a water mirror as usual to check in on Leo Vance's live stream. We discovered that something big was happening at the Academy. The annual Grand Tournament was about to begin. The Grand Tournament was the event of the year, where all the disciples of Azurewood Academy showcased their strength and competed for rankings. It was also a crucial plot point in the original novel. Leo Vance was supposed to shock everyone at this tournament, defeating all the talented inner disciples to claim first place, cementing his position as the #1 student at Azurewood. This tournament looks like fun, Seraphina said, stroking her chin as she watched the bustling arena in the water mirror. My stomach dropped. Matriarch, what are you thinking now? She turned to me, a foxy grin on her face. Ethan, you should participate. What? My jaw dropped. Matriarch, are you kidding me? I'm a Tier 1 acolyte janitor. Me, in the Grand Tournament. That wasn't competing. That was signing up to be a punching bag. Any outer disciple could crush me with a single finger. Who said you were a Tier 1 acolyte? Seraphina rolled her eyes. She reached out and tapped me on the forehead. A warm current instantly flooded my body. I felt the power within me skyrocket. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Adept, Master, Archon. My power level soared all the way to a high-level Archon before it stopped. I was completely stunned. Just like that, I was an Archon. I had never even seen an advancement pill, and I just skipped 3 entire tiers of power. Wasn't that a bit rushed? There, now your power level is high enough, Seraphina said, clapping her hands together as if it were nothing. I felt the immense power coursing through my veins. It felt like a dream. Was this what it felt like to be strong? I could probably punch a hole through a mountain. But I don't know how to fight, I said, still hesitant. I had the power, but 0 combat experience. I didn't know a single decent spell. Don't worry, Serafina rummaged through her treasury and tossed me a sword. It was a plain-looking wooden sword. Take this. I've enchanted it. It can reflect any attack. Reflect any attack. My eyes lit up. Yes, Serafina nodded. If someone attacks you, the force of their attack will be sent right back at them. The harder they hit, the harder they get hit. What a fantastic item. It was basically an impenetrable turtle shell. As long as I held this sword, no one could hurt me. I could win just by standing still. Also, Serafina tossed me a small booklet. Here are some lines I prepared for you. Just read from this when you're in the arena. I took it and looked at the title. 100 Badass One-Liners. The very first line was, I'm not targeting anyone in particular. I'm just saying that everyone here is trash. Matriarch, are you serious? If I actually said that, I'd be hunted down by every single student in the academy. Go on, Serafina said, kicking me out of the cave. Bring me back first place. If you don't, you can forget about eating ever again. I was on the verge of tears. This wasn't a competition. This was being forced into the lion's den. Clutching the wooden sword and the book of one-liners, I walked toward the arena, looking back every 3 steps. My quiet, lazy life truly seemed to be gone for good. I just wanted to be a chef. Why was that so hard? The registration area for the grand tournament was packed. I finally squeezed my way to the front. The disciple in charge of registration looked at me and frowned. Name, Ethan Chase. Power level, high-level Archon. I felt like a fraud even saying it. The disciple's pen stopped. He looked up at me as if I were an idiot. What did you say? High-level Archon, I repeated. The people around us started laughing. Is this guy insane? A janitor and a high-level Archon. He must be here to cause trouble. The disciple in charge was getting annoyed. Go on, get out of here. Don't waste my time. Next. I panicked. If I couldn't even register, Serafina would skin me alive. Left with no choice, I released a tiny fraction of my Archon-level aura. Instantly, the entire registration area fell silent. Everyone looked as if they were being choked, their faces turning red, struggling to breathe. The disciple in charge slid right off his chair and onto the floor, staring at me in terror. Senior. I quickly retracted my aura. So, can I register now? I asked calmly. Yes, of course. The disciple scrambled to his feet and personally filled out my registration form, his attitude one of utter reverence. My name soon appeared on the matchup list. Ethan Chase, a name that stood out like a sore thumb among a sea of adepts and masters. Everyone assumed I was some reclusive old monster from the academy, out for a bit of fun. My first opponent forfeited immediately. Fight an Archon? Did he have a death wish? And so, without lifting a finger, I advanced to the next round. In the following rounds, every single one of my opponents chose to forfeit. I never even had to step into the arena. I coasted my way into the finals. My final opponent was the biggest favorite of the tournament, the chosen one, Leo Vance. All eyes were on us. One was the rising star of the academy, who had fought his way through the ranks. The other was a mysterious, unfathomable master whom no one dared to challenge. This final match was being hailed as the ultimate showdown. Standing in the arena, looking at Leo Vance opposite me, my knees trembled slightly. Even though I was an Archon now, I still felt a primal fear when facing the protagonist. Leo's expression was grave. He couldn't see through my power level. To him, I was an enigma, which made him extremely cautious. Senior Ethan, please, let's have a good match, Leo said, bowing slightly. I cleared my throat and remembered the book Serafina had given me. I opened it to the first page. Ahem. It's not that I'm targeting you, I stammered. I'm just saying, everyone here is probably not that great. After I said it, the entire stadium was silent for a moment. Then, a roar of curses erupted. How arrogant. Who does he think he is? Beat him up. I had become public enemy number 1. Leo's face darkened. Senior Ethan, you are too conceited. He wasted no more words and attacked. His first move was his ultimate technique, the Skyfire Sword. A giant sword made of pure flame materialized, exuding an aura of destruction as it swung down toward me. The audience gasped. I squeezed my eyes shut in terror, instinctively holding the wooden sword Serafina had given me in front of my chest. Boom! A massive explosion. I felt a powerful force slam into my sword. But it didn't hurt me. Instead, the force seemed to bend around the blade and shoot right back where it came from, only faster and stronger. Leo had no time to react. He was hit square in the chest by his own Skyfire sword. He shot backward like a broken kite, crashing onto the ground outside the arena. He coughed up blood and passed out. The entire stadium once again fell into a dead silence. Everyone stared at me, then at the plain, ordinary-looking wooden sword in my hand. I won, just like that. I won by just standing still and letting the protagonist knock himself out. I looked at the wooden sword, then at the unconscious Leo Vance on the ground. This world felt surreal. The referee stood there stunned for a long moment before he finally came to his senses. He walked into the arena and announced in a trembling voice, "The winner of this match is Ethan Chase. The champion of this year's grand tournament is Ethan Chase." After a brief silence, the stadium erupted in thunderous applause and cheers. Just moments ago, they'd been cursing me. But in this world, strength was everything. I had earned their respect with my power. I stood in the arena, accepting the adoration of the crowd, feeling like I was in a dream. I, a janitor who just wanted to live a lazy life, had become a champion of the Azurewood Academy Grand Tournament, and I had defeated the protagonist in front of everyone. The plot had gone completely off the rails. I looked down at the book of one-liners in my hand. I wondered what Seraphina's reaction would be when she saw this. Would she make me grill kebabs for her every single meal from now on? After winning the Grand Tournament, I became famous overnight. My status in the Academy shot up from an unknown janitor to someone on par with the elders. The headmaster himself summoned me, asking if I was the reincarnation of some ancient master. I could only repeat the line Seraphina had coached me on, saying mysteriously, "That is a secret that cannot be told." The headmaster looked at me with even greater reverence. After being defeated by me, Leo Vance was devastated. He locked himself in his room for days. When he emerged, he was a changed man, less arrogant, more thoughtful. He no longer looked at me with hostility, but with a mixture of awe and curiosity. He seemed to have decided I was some kind of wise master sent to test him. He started coming to me for advice on his training. I didn't know the first thing about training, so I just spouted whatever nonsense came to mind. Incredibly, after listening to my nonsense, he actually had a breakthrough. It gave me a whole new appreciation for the power of plot armor. My life didn't change much despite my new fame. I still spent my days in Seraphina's grotto, cooking for her and telling her stories. I ignored all Academy affairs. In my opinion, status and fame were nothing compared to grilling kebabs for the Matriarch. My lazy nature remained unchanged. But the peace didn't last long. One day, an incredibly evil and powerful aura suddenly blanketed the entire Azurewood Academy. The sky turned blood red. Panic swept through the sect. Seraphina, who was giving me a shoulder rub, suddenly stopped. She looked up at the sky, her brows furrowed. "Why is he out so early?" "Matriarch, what's wrong?" I asked, my heart tightening. "The final boss, Malachur the Demon Lord, has arrived." For the first time, Seraphina's voice held a note of gravity. Malachur, the ultimate villain of the original novel, an ancient demon who had lived for tens of thousands of years, a being of immense power and cruelty. According to the plot, he wasn't supposed to break his seal until much later in the story, after Leo Vance had become powerful enough to face him. Why was he here now? "I think he's here for me," Seraphina said, standing up and walking to the mouth of the cave, staring at the blood-red sky. "You mean, the last time, when I powered you up for the tournament, I might have made a bit too much noise." "It probably woke him up," Seraphina said, looking back at me with a complicated expression. "I sealed him away for a few thousand years. He's not exactly my biggest fan." "Sealed? Him? How many other secrets was this woman hiding?" "The final boss was her old acquaintance. Can you beat him?" I asked nervously. "It used to be a 50-50 fight," Seraphina said. "As for now, I just mastered a new divine art. Haven't tested it yet. I don't know." My heart sank. 50-50? That meant she wasn't sure. "Ethan," Seraphina suddenly said my name. "Yes, Matriarch. Are you afraid to die?" I paused, then nodded honestly. "Yes." "Good," Seraphina smiled. "You should be. Stay here. Don't go anywhere. She raised her hand and created a shimmering barrier at the entrance of the cave. This barrier will keep you safe. I'll come back for you after I've dealt with him. With that, she vanished in a flash of light, her last words echoing in the cave. Save me a chicken leg. I stared at the empty grotto, my heart pounding with fear. Outside, I could hear massive explosions, the entire mountain shaking. I knew Seraphina and Malachur were fighting. It was a battle between the two most powerful beings in this world. I sat on the floor, clutching the book of one-liners, my stomach in knots. For the first time, I realized how cold and empty this cave was without Seraphina. I had gotten used to her noise, her whims, her constant teasing. What if she didn't come back? I immediately pushed the thought away. No, she was too strong, too unreasonable. How could she lose? She still had to come back and eat the kebabs I made. I stood up and walked to the water mirror. I couldn't see anything outside anymore. It was just a blinding white light and distorted cracks in space. There was nothing I could do but wait. For the first time since I arrived in this world, I felt utterly powerless. My power level was a gift from her. My magical items were gifts from her. Everything I had, she had given me. Without her, I was nothing, just a lonely soul from another world. Seraphina, you have to win, I whispered to the water mirror. If you win, I'll make you spicy stew, dragon's feast stew, and whole roasted lamb every day. Whatever you want to eat, I'll make it for you. Just please, don't die. I don't know how long I waited. The shaking outside finally stopped. The blood-red sky cleared. Everything went quiet. Was it over? Who won? I stared nervously at the entrance of the grotto, my heart hammering against my ribs. The seconds dragged on, each one in agony. Just as I was about to lose hope, the barrier at the entrance flickered and vanished. A familiar figure walked in. It was Seraphina. She was still in her simple white dress, still barefoot, but her face was pale, and her clothes were stained with dust. She looked a bit disheveled, but she had won. The moment I saw her, my eyes stung, and I had to fight back tears. I ran to her. Matriarch, are you okay? I held her arm, checking for injuries. I'm fine, Seraphina said, her voice weak. Just a little hungry. As if on cue, her stomach growled loudly. I burst out laughing. All my fear and worry vanished. This was the Seraphina I knew. No matter the situation, she was always thinking about food. Wait right here. I'll go cook for you right now. I helped her to the stone bed, then rushed into the cooking area. I used every skill I had, roasting a whole spirit boar, simmering a pot of restorative soup, and stir-frying a few of her favorite side dishes. While I brought the food out, Seraphina had already fallen asleep, leaning against the headboard. She was sleeping soundly, a trace of exhaustion on her long eyelashes. Watching her sleep, I felt a sudden sense of peace. This crazy, whimsical, unpredictable matriarch who treated me like a toy had, in the moment of greatest danger, shielded me from it all. She had faced an enemy she wasn't even sure she could beat, all so that her personal chef could live. I placed the food on the table and gently covered her with a blanket. Then I sat on the edge of her bed, watching over her, just as she had watched over this place for millennia. The grotto was quiet, filled only with the sound of her steady breathing. Sunlight streamed in from the entrance, warm and gentle. In that moment, I suddenly thought that this life wasn't so bad after all. I stopped thinking about the protagonist, the plot, or my dream of a lazy existence. Just quietly staying by her side, cooking for her for the rest of my life. That seemed like a very happy thing to do. Seraphina slept for 3 days and 3 nights. When she woke up, she devoured everything on the table like a hurricane. After she finished, she let out a satisfied burp. Ethan, I beat Malachur back to his dimension. He should be sealed away for another few thousand years. That's good, I said, handing her a cup of tea. But I used up a lot of energy this time. I think I need to sleep for a good while. How long? A few hundred years. Maybe 1,000. The teacup nearly slipped from my hand. That long. MHM, Seraphina nodded. You stay here and behave. There's plenty of food and drink in the treasury. You can still use the water mirror if you want to watch the live stream. But I'll come find you when I wake up. She yawned. I am sleepy. Go into bed now. She walked into the small chamber she used for seclusion and closed the stone door. I stood alone in the empty grotto. My heart felt empty too. She said she would come back for me. I believed her. From that day on, a new legend began to spread in the back mountains of Azurewood Academy. A legend of a mysterious chef whose cooking was the best in the world. A chef whose dishes could make a mortal ascend to godhood. The headmaster came to beg for a meal. The grand elders came to plead. But no one could persuade him to leave. He just stayed in that small grotto, day after day, year after year, inventing new recipes. Leo Vance eventually became the savior of the world, quelling countless disasters. Sophia Reed became a revered saint. Their stories became legends. And I was just a minor character outside of their legend. Every day, I would clean the grotto until it was spotless. Then, I would cook a table full of hot, delicious food, waiting for the person who promised she would come back to eat. I know she'll be back. And when she is, I'll say to her, "Welcome home, Matriarch. Dinner is ready." My quiet, lazy life seems to have started over again. Only this time, it's filled with a sweet, endless wait. And